Disclaimer. This video is for entertainment purposes only. Do not attempt this at home. Vitiated how-to will not be responsible because you decided to be a cheap ass and not hire a professional.
On with the show.
Alright, the fifth thing, this is important because this can get you in more trouble than anything I've ever talked about. This can get you in a lot of trouble. Making content in public. Public shoots. Depending on what your content is, if it's PG, G, what have you, not too much trouble as long as you got certain release forms for different other things, then it's not so bad. But once you get to the R, because you can legally shoot nudity. Again, I'm not a fucking lawyer, so there's that. But in a lot of places, you can publicly shoot nudity, just plain old nudity, as long as it's not vulgarity or obscene, and get away with it as long as you're not in front of no buildings or nothing. That's something totally different I'll talk about towards the end of this. But overall, if you're going for the X-rated content and above, shooting in public will get you put in jail. And it will get you put in prison, because we're back to the obscene laws that I will talk a lot more about later in the other part of this situation. But it goes back to knowing your laws, what you can get away with, what you can't get away with in public. Now, if you're doing it on property, this is where you need a release form to be able to do it on property. If someone owns the property that is not yours, you need to get a permission form. If it's in front of a building, whether it's an abandoned building or not, you have to get a release form in order to use that building. Because if you are in front of that building, that statue, this or that or what have you, and you don't have the release form, whoever owns any of that can come back and say, hey, I didn't give you permission to involve that into your content, so I would like it removed. And they will remove your content. If you're on somebody's property and they can prove it's their property because there is some kind of a landmark there that you're in front of with a specific 1,000-year-old tree, example, and they can prove that's their tree, they'll have the content removed. So it's best to do it in your room, in your house that you own, not a house that you rent, because we're back to having a release form. If the person can prove it's their house that you're renting, they can hijack you for it and make you pay them money for using their house. And that's a whole nother ball of wax that I talked about protecting your content. So you refer back to that video. But the public thing is an important thing because of all the different laws that protects a lot of things. And people find it obscene. If you own the property, like I said, it's a big field, or even if it's just a big field, and you know nobody's going to catch you, then it's not a big deal. But if it can be seen, it is what it is. And I know I've talked about these different release forms, but I can't remember. I was getting into photography for a while, and the different things that I learned about the release forms, you just have to look them up. There's an actual website to where you can sell your pictures. I can't remember it. It's been a few years since I got into it, and they actually will give you the release form. I can't remember exactly what the site is, but they will give you an actual legal release form to have someone sign if you want to use someone else's property. Now, with this release form, you got to put on this release form your intent for this content. Because if you're just telling them you just want to do a couple little shoots of videos, and next thing you know, you got a damn orgy that's on OnlyFans, and these people see it, they're going to make you take it down if that's not okay with them, especially if their family members can recognize it. So in that release form, you got to put your intent of your content, whatever you plan on doing. It covers your ass. It covers your content. Because like I've been saying in all 5 of these videos, you're in with the big dogs now. This can get you put in prison for up to 5 years, if not longer, if you are not careful at what you do. OnlyFans don't tell you that because they're not governed by that law, because they're not even based in this country. And if you're in some of the southern states, it gets real interesting because a lot of things are really illegal to do. Still on the books. Not really pushed, but it's still illegal to do. So you need to understand that. And with the closing of this, because I'm not going to beat a dead horse, just protect yourself up, whatever you do in public. Just be careful. Because it's your ass on the line, not nobody else's. And you can't say I didn't know, because ignorancy is not bliss when it comes to the federal government. Trust me, I'm in enough trouble already.